Hello, fellow Kerbal nodes. This is Neppy, bringing the second episode of the Shuttle program here with the third test launch of our beautiful new shuttle. A little edited already, and as you can see, I attached some boosters and a huge tank. Because these engines I have in the back there, those vector engines, they do give me a lot of thrust in this thing, and you just have the boosters to kick off a little, to give you a little more delta V to get up and into orbit. I had also to change the angle of the vector engines, and now we're coming with a separation of the boosters. Yes, in normal time, and they're gone. Nice separation. As I said, I had to angle the vector engines because they were pushing the spacecraft, the shuttle, right up to the front. You know, they were like just in one direction. I had to adjust that because the weight of this whole craft, of this combination with the tank, of course changes, and the center of mass changes, so the engines should get, or should thrust through this center, and I had to adjust the whole thing to make sure that it does accelerate through the center of mass. Now here in space, and we already are in space at almost 80 kilometers, adjusting now the orientation, and I had some troubles to really get here or from here to orbit because of the angle the vector engines have, because now they are thrusting off center, of course, again, because the tank is empty, as you can see now, and they're still vectored. So the only way to proceed here, and we're separating the tank in a second. Let's go. Yes, we can separate now, and it's gone. With a little rotation, I might want to adjust that. We're not in orbit yet, and the thing is, we only can burn quite slow here with not too much thrust, otherwise you can't really adjust your orientation anymore, and the nose is just pushing up all the time, which of course is unfortunate, and you will, if you put too much thrust, you will find yourself in a spin suddenly. So you really have to be careful here. The real space shuttle, of course, had some extra maneuver engines that directed the thrust more to the center of mass of the shuttle without a big tank attached to its belly. And as you can see here, the nose is pushing up a little bit, so I have to adjust the thrust. But we are not in orbit yet. The periapsis is still in the minus, which means that we would fall through the planet, which of course is not possible. Well, you will be stopped before falling through. So we have to still get here, and a little too much thrust, and suddenly you're pushing up. So it's adjustment period to the and too much thrust again, and yeah, it took me a little bit to figure out the right amount of thrust, and you can get a little high, but I think like not even 30% thrust you can get those engines. You can of course put the thrust limiter on it, and yeah, you know, but yeah, I was pushing into orbit here. Yeah, we're coming up to the positive numbers now, -10, and positive, good. So 140, 550 apoapsis height. Now we're on 50 periapsis, 50 kilometers. Still a little tight, so I'm pushing it up a little more, 70 and 80 and we're in orbit. So question one that I had for this flight: can you get this spaceship into orbit? Answer was yes, and without further ado, we come to the second question that I gave myself for this mission, which was: after you get it into orbit, can you successfully deorbit and land this thingy? We're at 62 kilometers height now and going down. The periapsis is decreasing in height and will soon hit the negative numbers, and as you can see, it's glowing. This whole thing is very hot and it will get a lot hotter. You can see there is the warning scale, let's say, go on if stuff goes too nasty, too hot. And I'm just trying to wiggling around the whole craft to make sure that not everything heats up in a way that it will break, explode, even though we like explosions in the space program. But this is not about the explosions. This is supposed to get me down safely and yeah, survive, you know, have all my 4 crew members survive. And I'm watching my behavior here now because I have to be honest, I made a little modification to the spacecraft, but before that, with kind of this spacecraft, this shuttle, I mean, okay, I have maybe some solar panels at it and stuff, but basically with this whole thing here, just minor, really minor changes, I am not able anymore to get this thing even like to 40 kilometers and it will break. So I'm watching a little bit how I maneuvered here in this instant, and to see if I can get some tricks for the whole thing, but that's basically what I'm doing all the time. And yeah, well, you know, let's see how this guy is going. If we can actually really land this shuttle. Now we're at 40 and really afraid this thing will break. You know, we're also we're slower already, about 500 meters per second, but still very fast, and the thick part of the atmosphere is just really hitting us. The camera now is a little adjusting itself, nose up, cool down, try to really hold the spacecraft, and you can see it's dancing a little bit. It's also to the adjustments that I'm going, and look, this fireball, everything is glowing and hot and breaking, you know. Get the speed off, bleed the speed off, and I'm not really able to do this S-curve thingy, but I think the wiggling around also kind of qualifies as it. But it's really hard to pull your nose around and keep control if you're almost 2,000 meters per second fast. It's just like 6, 7 kilometers. And I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'm just watching this thing gliding down. I can't really do math today. But, you know, meters per second to kilometers an hour is by 3.6, so have fun. And yeah, just starting here, as I can see, we're not so high anymore. We're getting below the 30 kilometers and already bled off about 1,300 meters per second. Now getting below the 1,000, and oh, some air brakes. That's a good idea. And yeah, now I'm looking a little bit, where can I land, which plane can I get here, like the green stuff on the right or the more sandy stuff on the left. And I was for none really good reason, I was deciding to take the left. I was just like, okay, steer. Yeah, and now I'm kind of starting my own landing maneuver. Well, I mean, the landing really just starts basically when you slow enough and get the gears down and stuff. The real shuttle did that at around 3 kilometers up. By then they were still around 680 kilometers an hour fast, and bled off another 340 kilometers an hour, so they were like 340, 350 kilometers an hour fast at touchdown when they got down. I think this guy here is a little slower because of the wider wing, it glides better. But yeah, just looking around for some spots. There's a lot of clouds, so we're not really able to see where we're going. So I decide to deep dive into the clouds and continue this. Yeah, so far as it is sandbox, not really expensive program, but in real the space shuttle was a very expensive program, costing like 210 billion dollar, and what was it, 133 flights or so. Well, it definitely equals around 450 million per launch. That's a big number. Soyuz is way cheaper. I think it's like a tenth of the price or something. So now we're still in flight and probably coming back in a second for the normal time speed. You could see most of the time it was accelerated because the flight took, especially the landing, took hours. Well, at least half an hour. It's like you didn't want to see that. So yeah, I used the time acceleration again. And now we're coming close to the ground. What height do we have? I can't really read. Oh, it's about 100 meters and not even 70 meters per second fast. So we're almost touching down here, sliding a little bit over the ground. Let the ground come, and 50 meters a second, gliding down, and we have a touchdown. And therefore my second question would answer it: yes, I can, with this space shuttle, or let's say this space shuttle can go into orbit and come back, survive re-entry, land, and everybody's fine. So thank you guys for watching. This was the third test flight of my shuttle program. Hope you had fun and enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned and take care. Bye bye.